And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back New York Times bestselling author and my friend Heather Gudenkauf here in this exclusive pre-launch event in collaboration with Murder by the Book. Heather is going to give us the inside scoop on the overnight guest out tomorrow. Heather, welcome back to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Yeah, I am so excited. So yes, The Overnight Guest. It's the story of Wiley Lark. She's a true crime author who travels to a remote farmhouse in the middle of Iowa to finish her current project. And while she's there working away, there's this 100-year storm blizzard that comes blowing in. And she is, for all intents and purposes, stranded in the middle of the snowstorm with nobody else around. But when she opens up her front door and looks out, she discovers that there's a small child laying in the snow. And that sets off a whole chain of events that it makes it for a wild ride for her for the next 24 hours. And on top of that, there are a few other surprise guests who make an appearance throughout the night.
Indeed, there are surprise after surprise after surprise. And Heather, I can't wait to get into every delicious detail. But first, I just want to welcome everybody who is watching with us tonight. So if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, my channels, Murder by the Books channels, in our private Facebook groups, broadcasting tonight to both mystery and thriller mavens and bitchy bookworms, wherever you are watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. And we're going to get the scoop from the incredible Heather Gudenkauf. So if you've been here before, you know how this works. And if you're new, we're so happy you're here. Welcome. Here's how it works. This is your time to talk to this incredible New York Times author. Every Monday night, I give you my hand-picked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. This is your time. So ask Heather about The Overnight Guest. Ask her about her writing process. Ask her how she keeps churning out New York Times bestseller after bestseller. How does she stay creative? Why Iowa? True crime. I love true crime. What about you all? Let us know in the comments whatever you are wondering. Get it going in the comments, and Heather will get right over to you. We're getting so many hellos. If you're in a Facebook group, we won't see your name and headshot, but that's okay because I'm going to see who you are when I click in there. Kim says, hello. I'm so excited to read this one, Heather.
Thank you, Kim.
Any questions for Heather? Just go ahead and type them out. You guys, this book is racking up crazy good press. I want to say hi to John, Sherry, Susan, Virginia, Sarah, Julie, Patricia, Leanne, another Sarah, Diana. Welcome, everybody. We're so happy to have you here. So, Heather, crazy good press on this one, my friend. I'm so, this is amazing. So let's just dive right into it. The incredible Samantha Downing, who's been on the show, said The Overnight Guest is not only compelling, it is addictive. Flawlessly plotted, the story unfolds in layers, each one more shocking than the last. I'll be thinking about this book for a long time. I will be thinking about this book for a long time too, because it is intense. Let's talk about how you plotted it, how you got Samantha Downing to be thinking about this book for a long time to come. What's your process like, Heather?
Well, it's different with every single book, but typically I'll get an idea and think about it for quite a while. And then I just kind of dive in and start writing. The characters come to me, and I typically get a notebook and I will jot down the characters who I have in mind for that and really start to build their lives before I really get into writing the book. So I get to know them a little bit before I actually put them on the page in story form. And, from there, I just write. The story just comes to me. The characters kind of take it away. And it's just really an adventure to get in front of the computer every day and start writing about them.
Yay, an adventure that I would like to be on, and we all would like to be on. George said hello again twice in one day. George, welcome back, my friend. So good to see you. He says, with a new author to be added to my library, welcome What a welcome back to virtual events. Hello, Sara and Heather. George
Oh.
Beach, always a pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you for joining us. Ooh, Kim would like to know, how long did this book take to write? Heather, yes, because so fun fact, everybody, Heather was my very first guest when I started the show 2 years ago, and now she's back, which is so fun. So Heather, have you just been typing away for 2 years or what?
Yeah, well, pretty much. But yeah, typically from beginning to end, a book usually takes me about 18 months, and that I would say. And I tell people I write ugly. When that first draft, I just get everything down on the page, and then the really hard work begins during the revision process. And so, yeah, I would say beginning to end, a year to 18 months.
Excellent. Thank you for the great question, Kim. I love the quote, "I write ugly." I think I'm gonna get that emblazoned on a on a poster or a notebook or something. I love that. Ooh, okay. These are so many good questions. Okay, let's start with this next one, which Sherry would like to know, what inspired this book? Sherry, great question, because so many of us here love true crime, and you have written about a true crime writer who is at the scene of the crime she's writing about when she gets snowed in. Hashtag terrifying. So how did you come up with, what did inspire?
Yeah, so I'm obsessed with true crime, like many people are. Give me the podcasts, the documentaries, the true crime books. I sign up for them all and gladly. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way right now. So while I'm not a true crime writer, I have a huge respect for them. And I thought, well, if I can't write true crime, I can at least have a true crime writer be the main character in one of my books. So I knew I wanted to tackle that. One little snippet of an idea that came to me, I was surfing the internet looking for ideas for books, and I came across a crazy story about a young woman, and this was in the early 80s. And this young woman was driving through a snowstorm and ended up sliding on the ice into a ditch. And she had to decide what she was going to do. The temperatures were freezing, the snow was coming down. Should she stay in the car? Should she get out? Well, she decided to get out of the car and walk 2 miles to the house that she was going to go visit. It was a rural area. And so she started walking. Just before she got to the front steps, she collapsed into the snow and wasn't found for 6 hours. And when she was discovered the next day, she was nearly frozen to death. She was stiff as a board. Her eyes were frozen shut, and they couldn't even put her in the front of a pickup truck. They had to put her in the back seat of a car because she couldn't bend her limbs. She survived. So she survived. And so they took her to the hospital. She was so cold they couldn't inject her with any medicine because the hypodermic needles kept breaking. So anyway, long story short, I just thought, this is fascinating. I have to include at least a scene similar to this, something like this in my book. And that's the catalyst of Wiley finding the young child in the snow in her front yard.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
Heather, that is a crazy story. I mean, I'm picturing them lifting her frozen, rigid body and trying to get her in the car, but they can't because she's literally frozen solid, but still alive, and can't even get a hypodermic medical needle into her frozen, stiff flesh. I mean, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sherry, great question. Thank you so much for that. Great question here coming in. Interesting that you have chosen the discovery of a child. A lot of mystery authors stay away from events that occur with children. Was this hard to write about? That's coming in from Leslie. I'm not sure why your head's just not showing up, but I see you, Leslie. Welcome. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Heather, tell us about writing about
Leslie.
the kid.
Thanks for that great question. Yeah, I that's something I don't shy away from at all. In almost all of my books, there are children involved, and I know that's a very sensitive issue, and so I'm very careful about that, and mindful of that. But I was a teacher for many, many years. I worked with kids of all ages, especially younger ones. And I do like including children in my books because it's real life, and many of us have families and nieces and nephews, or kids, or we're teachers, or in some form. And one thing I think that having children in the books, kids are the most resilient of all people. I think they tend to go through a lot. Some do, but they bounce back and are ready to take on the world. So yes, sometimes it can be very difficult to write about some topics, but one thing I must say about my writing, I do cover some dark subject matter, but there's always hope infused throughout the books.
So Heather, I find it, Leslie, first of all, thank you for the great question.
Yeah.
Heather, I find it fascinating that you were a teacher working with so many young children and yet writing these terrifying stories that really get under your skin, dealing with dark subject matter. This one dealing with a lot of dark subject matter, not just the murder that Wiley Lark is writing about, but also some captivity. I'm not going to say too much about that, but there's some captivity stuff. I'm always scared of getting kidnapped. And yet I think I see you looking just so lovely in your blue and off to the schoolhouse every day. And and you're such an interesting contrast. And I love that, you drew on your experience of working with children to, write about them. That's really cool. Okay. Nancy Morrow Wren, welcome to the conversation. So great to see you. She is a bookstagrammer extraordinaire. She said, I read this book in a snowstorm and I loved it. How cool is that?
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, for the comment, and also for letting us know that you read it in a snowstorm. Kathy says, I just started Heather's The Overnight Guest. Yay, Kathy. I hope you love it. I see you're just starting it. So be sure to click over and join Mystery and Thriller Movements Facebook group where we continue the conversation. Let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you're up to. I'm just going to click over and see who this is saying. Someone is joining us and saying, you're very mysterious, which is on brand for us. Hi, I loved The Overnight Guest. Yay. Thank you so much for letting us know. Tell us what you loved about it. I know what I'm loving, but tell us what you're loving as well. Heather, another great review that you got was from Liv Constantine, international bestselling author of The Last Mrs. Parrish, who raved, Heather Gudenkauf is a master of suspense. I mean, if somebody said that about me, I would just forward my mail to the beach and I'd be eating bonbons and being fanned by pom fronds for the rest of my life. Liv, they went on to say, weaving together three narratives in an explosive and shocking denouement. The Overnight Guest will have you glued to the page and leave you wanting more. So let's talk about that. This is your 8th book. Or 7th or 8th? Ninth. Oh my goodness.
Yes, Heather. I know.
And okay, so how does one become a master of suspense? How does one keep Liv Constantine, up earning that kind of praise?
Yeah, well, I'm just so humbled. It's so exciting when anybody enjoys your books, but when some authors that you truly love and admire also enjoy your books, that means so much. So I master of suspense. That's just very humbling, but thank you. I love to read, and I love reading thrillers and mysteries, and I love watching thrillers and mysteries. And I think keeping it fast paced, creating characters that the audience, the readers, are interested in and want to know more about, to help keep the pages turning. And so I think that those are the key elements to that, as well as having a story that has a few twists and turns where hopefully something unexpected comes their way and makes them want to find out what happens next.
It's the unexpected that you think keeps.
I think so. I think so, and that the readers care about the characters and want to see what happens to them. Yeah. Yes.
What do you think makes someone care about the characters? Why do we care about Wiley? Is it that she's vulnerable, she's struggling with anxiety, some agoraphobia, she doesn't like to be out in public, people getting too, especially men getting too close to her. She's, she's got a history of trauma herself. Is it her vulnerability, her humanity? What is it that makes us care about these people?
Yeah, and I think, Wiley in particular, when we first meet her, she's not the most likable. She's pretty brusque. She's pretty guarded.
I liked her.
Yeah. Oh, I do too. But I think when we first meet her, that she's got some walls up. And I think, we all know people like that. And then the more we get to know them, we tend to fall in love with them as some of those layers are unpeeled, and we figure out what they're all about. And so I think Wiley's like that. And especially when we see her in the relationship with the young child that she takes under her wing, and some of that humanity shows, and her caring, and we slowly learn about her past and her hopes for the future, and we get to know her.
I love that. Kim would like to know, Heather, are the true crime stories you were inspired by, or are they nationwide, or are they from Iowa? Do you watch Dateline? That is her Friday night pastime here. Kim, yeah. How delicious is Dateline, right?
Yes.
Dateline.
Yes. I get them from all over. So no, I don't focus necessarily on crimes that may have been committed in Iowa. I look much further than that. But it's just anything that catches my eye, and I think, oh, this is a good idea for a book. I need to investigate it more.
I also, if you follow Heather on Instagram, and you should, she has been posting behind the scenes, a picture of a deserted road in Iowa. And she said, this is how I picture the road in The Overnight Guest, or, this is the haunting, sort of not barren landscape, but there's uniquely, I've never been to Iowa, so I am loving all of that. Thanks for the hearts up, you guys. Thanks for the heart eyes. Love that. This is so great. I'm just making sure I didn't miss anybody's comments or questions. Thank you, everybody. Keep them going. This is your time to chat with Heather. Heather, you've gotten so many amazing reviews. And I want to get to those. But first, George has a question. He would like to know, do you have a favorite true crime source or podcast? Great question, George.
Yeah, so many. I'm constantly listening. There was a recent one that I binged. It was called Suspect. And it is about a Halloween party and an event that happens at this Halloween party that is just bananas, and the investigation and, the search for justice. And so I found that fascinating. So that's one. I love, there's some fun ones like True Crime Obsessed, which is just a lot of fun to listen to. Also, there's one that's great. It's called Criminal. And it is a podcast that takes, a little bit of time with all different kinds of crimes. It can be, oh my gosh, a crime from 100 years ago. They'll talk about current crimes. They'll talk about something that doesn't seem like it's a crime, but has a connection to it. And it's just really a fascinating look. So many.
What was the name of that last one, Heather?
Criminal.
Ooh, Criminal. Okay, so that one is new to me. I don't know. I also listened to Suspect. It was crazy, and I'm still not sure who did it. Another one that I love is Live and Die in LA, especially season 1. Oh my God, it's so good. The journalist from Rolling Stone magazine, Neil Strauss, did it. It's fantastic. It's on par with Serial. Ooh, Heather would like to know, who is your favorite crime/thriller writer?
Oh my goodness. Well, that is too hard to pick, right? I have so many. Oh my goodness. Lisa Unger, Mary Kubica, Kimberly Bell, Kara Ruda, Tess Gerritsen is a favorite of mine. So many. Hannah Mary McKinnon, Hank Philippi Ryan. It's just, the list goes on and on and on.
Yay. Well, thank you. That is a great yummy, tasty list to start with.
Yes.
So thank you. So many of my favorites on there as well. And I think everyone has been on that you just named has been on the show, and and is coming back. So what a pleasure to host them. And if anybody wants to check out those interviews, they're all archived on mysteryandthrillermavens.com. Thank you so much for all the hearts, you guys. I love it. Heather, I also loved that. Well, let's speak of Hannah Mary McKinnon. She raved that with the overnight guest, Heather Gudenkauf once again demonstrates that she's a true master of suspense. Again, that amazing accolade. Atmospheric and claustrophobic, tense and twisted. This chiller will make you hold your breath as you turn the pages. Cancel your plans when you start reading this one because you won't be able to put it down. So let's talk about that, the atmosphere of being stuck in a snowstorm without any connection to the outside world because she dropped her cell phone in a puddle, and is snowed in this remote location. It does start to feel claustrophobic. And in terms of the atmospheric, how do you really capture both the snowstorm and the Iowa part of it? Are you out there just meditating in a field, or how do you do it?
Well, that's part of it, kind of. The book, as you mentioned, it's written in 3 different points of view, and one of the points of view is in the winter during this terrible blizzard. And when I was writing those sections, I would get outside in the winter and bundle up with my dog Lolo, and we'd go hiking through the trails, and just to get a little taste of what Wiley might have gone through. Of course, I could go to safety at any moment, and there were plenty of people around. But just getting out in the elements is huge for me. Getting outside in nature and bringing that to the page the best way I can. And then on the other side of that, the true crime part of the book, the thread, is set in the the heat of summer in Iowa, and hot, humid August days, and anybody from the Midwest knows all about that. And so, taking those experiences and then just really trying to heighten them to bring the reader into the story.
I love seeing you and Lolo, your partner in crime, your 4-legged BFF, out roaming, because I just love dogs, but also your pictures of that Iowa landscape, of the sunsets, of the sky, of the fields, of nature are so, so beautiful. And so I could picture, because I follow you on Instagram, I could see in my mind's eye when you were writing about these places, oh yeah, I know exactly what that looks like, which was so cool. So I let people submit questions in advance in the Mystery and Thriller Mavens group, and the wonderful Booked Blonde Bookstagrammer has a couple of questions that she submitted in advance. She said, I always love asking authors about their thoughts on the book covers. I know it's kind of out of their control, but I think it's so interesting to hear their opinions, and if they ever asked to change any aspects of their covers. So she has a 2-part question. So let's start there. And we would love to get the skinny on this cover. I'll hold it up so you can tell us.
Yeah. Oh, the art department for my books, they have nailed it every single time with every single one of my books. They totally get me. So that is exactly how I envisioned the farmhouse in the story, and the snow coming down, and that dark and the sense of isolation. So I've been really lucky. I haven't felt the need to ask to change my book covers, but they really listen. They read the books. They get a sense of what the story is about, and they really translate that onto the page. Not for this book, but for my previous one, This Is How I Lied, I had even taken some pictures of the area that I would hike and that I envisioned the story taking place, and I sent it to my editor, who passed it on just as a frame of reference. And they made it their own. They didn't use the picture, but they definitely got the vibe I was looking for with that. So they do a great job. I feel like they really get me as a writer and what I'm envisioning.
Oh, that's so great to hear, because I have heard the opposite. I have
Sure.
heard some nightmares. And it's so great to hear that you loved it.
Yeah.
The books Vlad has one other question, but I see it. I'm going to click over to Kim. She's got a question, then we'll get back to her.
Okay.
Kim would like to know, have you started your next novel already? Yeah. Heather, how does that work? Are you just, because you keep producing work, but then you also have to be out here chatting with us, meeting the people, chatting about the books. How does that go?
Yeah, so it's definitely a balance. I am working on my new novel. Can't say too much about it, but I'm almost done. Just about at the end here. Hopefully, in the next month, it be ready to pass on to my editor. And I can't say too much about it, but I will say it starts in Iowa. There we have an Iowa character, like I always do, but the character steps out of her comfort zone, and so did I, by writing about a different location and bringing my characters to a new spot. And I can say that she encounters some of the most diabolical characters I've ever written. So it's a fun, wild ride.
And that is not taken lightly, Heather Gudenkauf, because you're right, I'm dark.
Yes.
So if this next one is the most diabolical, I'm gonna have to start like doing my deep breathing exercises now, because you kind of scared me with this one.
Yeah.
I had to take breaks because this one's pretty dark. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Heather, the sweet little, little kid teacher has a bit of a dark side, doesn't she? Yes. Let's get back to George. Okay, it says, I just followed you on Instagram. Is it okay if my primary motive is to see Lola? What a pretty girl. She is.
She is. She's right here at my, hanging out with me like she always does, and she'll be so glad to hear you say that about her.
Oh, yay. Let's get back to the booked blonde bookstagrammer extraordinaire over there. And she would like to know, Heather, Poppy, I'll get to your question next. I like that question, girl. So the book blonde would like to know, Heather, since you have multiple books, do you have a favorite cover of any of them? And if so, which?
Oh boy, that's really hard. It's hard to choose a favorite. There's so many things I like about each one. It really is hard for me to say. I have to say, I guess, just because it was my first and everything was so brand new. The Way to Silence was my first book, and let's see if I can grab it here. Oh, I can
grab it.
This cover here, and such a fun story. So, everything within a first book is brand new. Everything is new, exciting, and, and it is every time. Every time I get a new book cover, it's like birthday, Christmas rolled into one. But this one was fun because it was the designer's daughter, who is the little girl in the picture. And you can kind of see that, that's her. And then she's holding this necklace that's a big part of the book. And I don't have it on right now, but I received a gift from my agent, which was that necklace. And I wear it all the time. And so that, that just is a nice little touchstone there. So, but honestly,
God, I love that.
Honestly, I love all my covers.
Oh, I love that story. So the cover designer took a picture of their daughter, went out and took a picture of their daughter.
Yeah, for the cover.
Oh my God, Heather, that is so wonderful. I've never heard of someone going out taking a picture of their own kid and then creating. Oh my gosh, I love that story. And then your agent gave you the necklace. Oh my God, I'm like completely obsessed. I love that. I love that. So I want to thank the Booked Blonde, and she is Kayla on Instagram. So everybody follow her. She does really great reviews. I'm just popping the link into the comments. So Kayla, aka the Booked Blonde on Instagram. Thank you for the great comments, Heather. Thank you. Great questions, Heather. Thank you for the great answers. And let me just make sure who else has submitted one right here. Okay, Poppy, yes. She's saying, could you please talk about your writing process? Are you a plotter? Are you a pantser? What is your writing routine? So Heather, walk us through it. Do you rise with the sun? Do you flow effortlessly at your desk? The words pour forth, or are you just crawling through the desert of words? I mean, what's it like?
Yeah, it's different from day to day, project to project. Some days I'm crawling, crawling for the words, and some days they flow quite nicely. I would say I'm definitely a pantser. I have the idea for my story. I think I know where it's going to go, but the characters have a way of just swooping in and taking over. And I end up going often in all different kinds of directions. And that's why I kind of mentioned I write ugly and I just get it all out on the page. And the real work for me comes during the revision process. Where I have to really dig in and mine what I've written to pull out the best bits and to work with that. So yeah, definitely a pantser, but I'm a huge admirer of plotters, and I wish I could do it, but whenever I've tried, it's never quite worked the way I'd hoped.
Poppy, thank you for the great question. Heather, let's dig a little deeper, because if you, knowing now that you are a pantser, and for those who haven't heard these crazy terms, plotter is someone who sits there like Jeffrey Deaver when he was on the show. So he spends 6 to 8 months plotting every day, 8 hours a day. He often writes up to 180 pages of an outline. My God, that's like a whole book. Then he executes against that. A pantser goes with the flow, sees where the spirit takes them, see where the characters take them, see where the story organically goes to. So Heather, with you in that latter camp, but yet all of these people calling you the master of suspense, I mean, how does this add up? Because what if you flow into like a dark alley that doesn't go anywhere interesting or gets you stuck, or then how do you tie Wiley's past to her present? How does that actually work?
Well, if that happens, and I write myself into many corners. My early readers and my editor can attest to that. And so you back up. You just take a few step back and look at the big picture and pull out what works and set aside, or keep in what works and set aside what doesn't, and adjust as you go. But yeah, it's not probably the most efficient way to write, but it works for me.
How do you know when you're stuck, though? Is it just you're like, this is boring, or I don't like it, or how do you know it's not working?
Yeah, sometimes you need a little distance from that. So when I'm, writing a draft, I'll just write, and then I'll set it aside for, it can be a few days, it can be a few weeks, and then go back into it. And when I'm working on a first draft, I'll often make little notes to myself and say, no, this doesn't work. Come back to this and rethink. And, but I try not to let it slow me down. And, I know that could cause some issues down the road with, you change one thing and something else has to be changed. But I find that if I think too much about it, I tend to find that I paralyze myself in place, and I'm not as for me creative and willing to take the risks as a writer.
So when you're writing yourself, and we're still on process, thanks to Poppy's great question.
And Poppy's a great writer too.
Yay,
yes.
Poppy. So when you're writing yourself these notes, Heather, this isn't working. Love, Heather. Do you ever write back, hey, Heather, like take a hike? Love, Heather.
Oh yeah. Yes. And then sometimes, I'll leave it in, or, I'll think about it for a few days and think, oh, this will work. Or no, I need to come back and rewrite this whole section and take it in this. And so I'll find myself, I've written a section. It goes off in one direction. My next section, I feel like, oh, I need to veer this way. And so I'll leave a note, make sure to fix the section before, so it all meshes together.
Giving yourself homework
messy. Yes.
As a teacher.
Yes. It's messy. It's just a fun, crazy process.
Well, you've surprised Poppy, because she says, I was not expecting to hear you say that. Thank you. Heather is a very surprising woman, a woman of many secrets, I think. Kim would like to know, have you ever considered having a writer's workshop? Cool idea.
Yeah, I've never done one on my own. There was a great organization at the University of Iowa called the Writers House on campus there. And I think they've kind of set things aside with with COVID, of course, but I was asked to teach a writing course, a weekend course. It was so much fun. Yeah, I taught writing to kids for years and loved it, and really enjoyed taking that on. So yeah, that's always something I would enjoy doing.
Very cool. Anissa, welcome to the conversation. She says, hello, Sara and Heather. Hi, Anissa. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, you guys, we have about 5 minutes left. So get any last questions going for Heather. Okay, Anissa's kicking off. Have you ever uncovered, oh my God, I love this question. Have you ever uncovered research that was just too scary to use in your book?
God, goodness, I don't think anything has been off limits. I mean, I think I've used a lot of I don't think I've ever come across anything that I couldn't use in a book that I would consider using. Now, how you present that, definitely you have to be mindful. People, you don't want to, you want to be tell the story in a very visual way, a sensory way, without making people shut the book for too long. So you want to get this, the scariness, the terror, and that feeling of that, but keep the reader reading. So there's a fine line with that. But no, I don't think I've come across anything that I couldn't use in my book. I'm sure there are things that probably aren't best fitted for the page, but I've managed to incorporate it in a way that I think it's palatable for readers.
Very cool. So Catherine McKenzie also chiming in with a fabulous blurb saying Heather Gudenkauf's The Overnight Guest is a tightly woven braid of a novel, guaranteed to raise the hairs on the back of your neck and keep you turning the pages deep into the night, set inside a storm that you will feel beating against your windows. The present and the past will collide in an ending that you will not see coming. Atmospheric, fast-paced, and perfectly plotted. I devoured this, and you will too. Rave review from Catherine McKenzie. Absolutely amazing. I put that in the comments in case anyone wants to read the whole thing. I'm not going to pop it up because it's so wonderfully meaty that it would cover Heather. It would cover Heather in my space. Hank Philippi Ryan also raving about this book. She said she notes your unforgettable characters reveal a devastating story that will chill you to the bone and then break your heart. With a brilliant structure and an authentic sense of place and gorgeous storytelling, Gudenkauf proves she is the queen of the rural thriller. Amazing rave review there from the queen, Hank Philippi Ryan herself. Ooh, Kim said, I have known of authors using family members or friends' names in their book. Do you choose the names of your characters based on those you know? Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this, Kim, because Wiley Lark is such a beautiful name. Let's talk about Wiley.
So Wiley, I wanted to have a unique name for her. She's such a unique character. And you find out later at the end of the book it's a family name. That will be explained later in the book. But how I come up with not my family's, a family name of mine, but in Wiley's family. But I love trying to come up with names for characters. It's really difficult. It can be a real challenge. And I'm not in the classroom anymore as a teacher, but in my early days of writing, I was so careful because not to have used students' names in the book. So that, checking those names off not to use. Once in a while, a family member's name will end up in the books, and that's always fun to do. I spend probably way too much time trying to figure out characters' names, and they often change throughout the process because the name has to fit the character. And so I grapple with that as I'm writing, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, it's Kim, it's so almost psychic of you to ask, because the name, the importance of names plays a very important part of Heather's book, both in Wiley's own history and in this other mysterious character from Wiley's past that comes back. When her past comes back to haunt her, we see just how important names are and how meaningful They are in a variety of ways. So you'll see when you read the book exactly what we're talking about. But it's so funny you should ask that, because this happens to be a really meaningful part of Heather's book. Gail, good to see you. Welcome to the conversation. I want to remind you all, this book is not even out yet. This is an exclusive pre-launch event, and you can order your copy of the book tonight, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will ship it out to you tomorrow when it comes out. So again, you're getting the inside scoop on the Overnight Guest, and you're going to want to order the book now. So I'm going to plop this in the comments right now, so that you can click over, order your copy, and get reading, and then hop over to Mystery and Thriller Mavens to continue the conversation. I'll pop the link in there as well. And I see someone saying, thank you. I was unable to join the StreamYard, but thank you. It's so great to have you. Thank you so much for wherever you are watching. I'm going to just, Leslie, it's from you. Okay. Leslie, I see you watching in Mystery and Thriller Mavens, the private Facebook group. Thank you so much for joining us there. And I see you, girl. I see you. Always a pleasure to have you. So for everyone who loves mysteries and thrillers as much as we do, come on over and join the group. It is free and open to all, and that's where we keep the conversation going. Heather, what's one thing that you want people to leave this book having read, having experienced, having learned? Kim is saying, thank you so much. She's so excited to read this book. Poppy saying, great conversation. Congratulations. Thank you. And as we wrap this up in these last minute or two, Heather, let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, what I really want for readers is what I want from a book. Just a few hours of escape, of, a thrilling ride, take you outside of your own world for a little bit. And, I like to solve a good mystery now and then. I like to think I do in the books I read. So I hope that readers find it as a way to just kind of escape for a while, enjoy a good mystery, meet a few new characters, maybe think about things a little differently after they've read the book as well. So that's what I hope.
I love that. And it's been so interesting because, I've seen that reading has gone up during the pandemic, and especially reading of mysteries and thrillers, our favorite genre, because I think we do need that escape and that certainty, and that sort of knowing that we're going to get some sort of sense of justice, resolution, finality that right now I'm not feeling in real life, but I can get on the page. So I love that. Heather Gudenkauf, thank you so much for coming on the show again. Thank you to everyone for watching from Facebook, from YouTube, from private Facebook groups, wherever you're watching from. Pick up your copy of The Overnight Guest tonight, and then let's continue the conversation. And Heather, since you've shared that you're almost done your next book, you amazing miracle woman, you fast writer, when your next one is out, come back and give us the scoop on that one.
I would love to. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
George is saying thank you. This was so fun, and he looks forward to reading your books, Heather. Yay. All right, everybody, I'm going to put the link in there one more time. Grab it. Lindsay says, I cannot wait to read The Overnight Guest. Lindsay, thanks so much for watching, and you can grab your copy right here from woman-owned, one of the 3 dedicated mystery bookstores in the country, Murder by the Book. All right, y'all, have a great night, and I will see you at the top of the hour with Jacqueline Michard with The Good Son.